Hello, passengers, co-pilots, shotgun callers, blunderbuss bellowers, and midnight riders. Welcome to another episode of Full Moon Empty Road. As always, I'm Jeremy, and I'll be your driver tonight. Hope everyone had a great week, and I hope you're ready for another road trip. Saddle up, partner. We're headed to the Lone Star State, San Antonio, Texas, to the San Fernando Cathedral. Located at 115 Main Plaza, and also called the Cathedral of Our Lady of Candelaria and Guadalupe, the San Fernando Cathedral is a Roman Catholic church located in downtown San Antonio, Texas, facing the city's main plaza. Another beautiful Gothic Revival-style building, it broke ground in 1738. It is the mother church of the Archdiocese of San Antonio and the seat of its archbishop. Its dome serves as the city of San Antonio's cultural and geographical center. Notable as one of the oldest cathedrals in the United States, it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The original Church of San Fernando was built between 1738 and 1750. The walls of that church today form the sanctuary of the cathedral, which gives rise to its claim as the oldest cathedral in the state of Texas. The church was named for Ferdinand III of Castile, who ruled in the 13th century. The baptismal font, believed to be a gift from Charles III, who became King of Spain in 1759, is the oldest piece of I can't hardly say that word. I've not been able to say that word all week. Liturgical furnishings in the cathedral. The cathedral was built by settlers from the Canary Islands, and for this reason, the interior is an image of the Virgin of Candelaria. I haven't been able to say that one either. Candelaria, the patroness of the Canary Islands. Some notable moments in history are as follows. In 1831, James Bowie married Ursula de Veramendi in San Fernando. In 1836, the cathedral, still a parish church, played a role in the Battle of the Alamo, when Mexican General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna hoisted a flag of no quarter from the church's tower, marking the beginning of the siege. The ashes of the heroes that died defending the Alamo on March 6, 1836 are interred here. In 1868, under the direction of architect Francois P. Girard, the cathedral was considerably enlarged in the Gothic style, the addition forming the existing nave. The carved stone stations of the cross were added in 1874. The striking stained glass windows were added in 1920. On September 13th, 1987, Pope John Paul II visited the cathedral during the only papal visit to Texas. A marker commemorates the event. In 2003, a $15 million renovation project was undertaken, which involved 3 phases. $15 million. That's insane. Not because of its use, but that's a lot of money. Phase 1, restoration and stabilization of the cathedral foundation and structure and its enhancement for liturgy. Is it liturgy? Liturgy and other events. Phase 2, replacement of the rectory with a new cathedral center, which will house a small cafeteria, counseling rooms, museum, gift shop, reception room, television control room, and vesting sacristy. Man, there's a lot of odd words. I shouldn't have picked a church. Phase 3, construction of a community center to house community and social services, meeting rooms, a hall, church offices, and a residence for the priests. The 2003 renovation was supervised by Richard S. Vasco, a liturgical design consultant and priest of the Diocese of Albany, who has overseen often controversial redesigns and renovations of numerous churches and cathedrals around the country. The cathedral remains at the heart of Catholic religious life in San Antonio, and this includes involvement in annual events such as the Fiesta Week. Over 5,000 participate at weekend masses each week of the year. Over 900 baptisms, 100 weddings, 100 funerals, and countless other services and special events are performed each year. Most notably in the staging of Good Friday Passion Play, which attracts thousands of visitors. In February 2006, the cathedral began a year-long celebration recognizing San Antonio's 275th anniversary. In 2011, Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller broke from the design envisioned for the cathedral restoration and reversed some of the prior authorizations of Vasco's design, which had violated church law, unveiling a new altar permanently affixed to the floor and within the sanctuary, a new traditional bishop's chair or cathedra, relocating the baptismal font from the back of the church to the front next to the lectern, and installing a new railing behind the altar to section off the sanctuary to prevent people visiting the retablo from straying into the altar. Donations from parishioners and outside donors in the amount of $150,000 helped fund the 2011 project. This cathedral's had a pretty long history, but I will say this, with San Fernando Cathedral being the oldest church in Texas, with so much history, it comes with some hauntings. And it's during my research, I will definitely say it had a lot of hauntings to it. This one's kind of going to be a little bit flip-flopped from last week's episode where or maybe that was 2 weeks ago. I don't remember which one I recorded. I think last week was Haunted Highways. The week before that was Pennhurst Asylum. And one thing I noticed about Pennhurst was there was a lot of history and not a lot of hauntings. Now, San Fernando Cathedral has a good bit of history, but it has even more hauntings. And we are going to roll into that here in just a second. According to sanantonio.culturemap.com and ghostcitytours.com, when construction workers started renovating the church in 1936, they unearthed bones, nails, and tattered military uniforms near the altar, which some believe belonged to 3 soldiers of the Alamo. Since the incident, visitors have reported shadowy figures and orbs in their photographs, as well as ghosts in the back of the church itself. Such otherworldly inhabitants include a man dressed in black and figures in hooded, monk-like clothing. With the things that take place there, such as masses, baptisms, weddings, funerals, concerts, and other events, a few apparitions apparently are on hand for those activities. Among them is a white stallion galloping in front of the church. And it's like I've said before, this, going back to my ghost hunting days, one of the things we tried to look for was places that had things in life that were high emotionally charged, like churches, having churches having funerals and stuff taking place in them, or I'd even like to. I never got to, but I would like to investigate a funeral home. Places like that, civic places where there are large gatherings of high emotions. I will say a galloping stallion apparition is probably one of the most impressive I've heard of. An account from Ghost City Tours is as follows. On one occasion, a guest on a ghost tour stood listening to her guide regale her with tales of the church itself. But even as she stood there, her gaze continued to track a strange man who seemed to be following the tour. He trailed them, following them from the front of the cathedral, and then again when they edged towards the back of the historic site. And then he simply disappeared. When she tried to describe him, she likened his all-black clothing to the dress style of the 18th or 19th centuries. She had initially thought him to be another tour guide joining the group, but his abrupt disappearance suddenly had her wondering if she hadn't seen a ghost herself. To make matters even stranger, a few other of the tour goers had witnessed the same dark shadowed apparition, leaving them all to wonder, who was he? Ghostly monks, however, seem to be the most frequently spotted apparitions. The tour company speculates that the monks perhaps are unwilling to depart their house of worship, or maybe they're unable to leave the place since their bodies, and the bodies of other people, were buried within the church's walls or under the church's floor. For years, many people who visit San Fernando have reported seeing faces appear in the exterior walls of the church. A gaping mouth, two sunken eyes, the features of a skull have appeared to countless people visiting the oldest standing structure in Texas. Kind of wonder were they actually seeing faces, or was this a case of pareidolia? And pareidolia is seeing, I guess, how would I want to put that? Pareidolia is seeing like features in a structure, features that aren't actually there, but just the way the structure is built, it kind of looks like they are. Not necessarily anything haunted, just the way the features of a building or a facade come together. And of course, that makes you wonder: are the faces on the rock wall only a matter of imagination or interpretation? While some might argue that the skull-like spectral faces that suddenly appear on the outer rock walls of the church are spirits of those interred within San Fernando Cathedral, there's no mistaking the amount of people who have been buried within, as well as the amount of paranormal sightings that have occurred elsewhere on the cathedral's grounds. It's going back to this, it's oldest place in Texas. Definitely. It's not going to surprise me if there is something, if there are things that are seen that are actually there and not just, someone's imagination running wild or something like that. Finally, the most famous documented haunting happened on Halloween in 2007. Workers were conducting a restoration project on the cathedral by removing old plaster from the original stone. Plans were set in place to replaster the walls. Despite the construction, the cathedral was still open for visitors, one of whom happened to be touring San Fernando with his handheld video camera. He captured the marble sarcophagus in the back, which many visitors claim to be ghostly cool to the touch at times, as well as the sill on the ground, which confirms the church's old age. Then, without any sort of warning, he captured the visceral image of a man kissing a skull on the head. He panicked, realizing that not a single soul was in sight. The image he'd captured on his camera had been nothing but a shimmering apparition of a ghost from long ago. Now, 2007 was... Now, I know these days video editing and stuff is fairly commonplace, right down to the point that the apps we use, the social media sites we use, have built-in editing techniques within their uploads. But in 2007, it's very possible that, that's amazing content to capture, but could it have been something that he edited and then was like, oh, look what I caught at, of course, the oldest church in Texas? I'm not saying he did one way or the other, but that is something you have to take into account, that he may very well have just edited something into it, and then, that could have gone viral. I'm wondering, I can't picture it, so I'm wondering if I've seen the video or not. If I've not, I may need to look it up and check it out, see what I think of it. But, it's one of those things that unfortunately, there are people out there who are going to say, oh yeah, I caught something, and clearly never did. I mean, back in my ghost hunter days, I investigated a place where not long before that, a ghost hunting team that was on TV had investigated it, and according to the tour guides, they were never going to have them back because not even necessarily the tour guides, the people that live there. I mean, they do the tours too, but they live there. And one of the things they would do is, before you do your investigation, they walk you around the place, they explain the history of it and the different things they've seen, or that people have reported. And according to them, this particular TV show that showed up and recorded used none of the actual history of the place and made up their own things to fabricate their own evidence. So they were pretty much at the end of it, they were told, you're not allowed back here. So you never know. He could have actually caught something, or he could have not. But that's the beauty of this, is everything's up for speculation. So so what did you think of the history and hauntings of San Fernando Cathedral? I will say, when I was reading through this, doing my research, I really enjoyed all the hauntings that they had listed for the different apparitions that are seen in the area. But let me know what you think of the place. And thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you want to, you can follow me on social media. You can hit me up you can follow me on Facebook at FMER Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at FMER Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Full Moon Empty RD. So Full Moon Empty Road, but road is abbreviated RD. And you can follow me on TikTok at Full Moon Empty Road. I've actually gotten to the point where I'm a little bit more active on TikTok and Instagram. I'm kind of learning the ropes of those, especially with having a page to keep active. And another thing, in terms of the social media stuff, I posted a video to TikTok, and I've mentioned it here a couple times. If you have any sort of paranormal encounters in your day-to-day life, or in your past, or something that you'd like to tell the story of, reach out to me on one of my social medias, or you can shoot me an email to fullmoonemptyroad@gmail.com and tell me your stories. If it's a long enough story, and I'm not saying make something up that's a long story of something that happened to you. You can have your own episode spotlighted. Otherwise, I would like to do a little mailbag episode, and maybe just for an hour every so often, just read the stories that my listeners, you, have sent in. So if you'd be interested in that, please do that. And I look forward to hearing from y'all. And again, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. And before we go visit Tiffany at the Vinyl and Sublime Co. She can do all things from decals, shirts, tumblers, mugs, and much, much more. She's created the first Full Moon Empty Road t-shirt, so, go buy one of those. You can find her on Etsy at the Vinyl and Sublime Co. She even does custom orders. To request a custom order, you can email, text, or use the Request a Custom Order at her Etsy shop. Drop her a line at the Vinyl and Sublime Co. at gmail.com, or shoot a text to 706-913-7837. to get started on your custom order today. Go now and tell her I sent you. And keep in mind, if you would like a 10% discount on your order, you can use my discount code HAUNTED10, HAUNTED, the number 1, the number 0. Now, let's go home.